Okay, so let's take a look at how you can install Couchbase on Windows. So in my case, I'm currently using Windows 11. So if you're using any previous one like Windows 10, or maybe in near future you could be using that Windows 12 or so. Regardless of all of that, the process that I'm going to show you should apply to all of them, right? So first thing would be to go to couchbase.com, and here we will have to find this community edition of CouchDB, right? So products, then you have CouchDB server. Can simply click on here. Then we try to find the community edition, right? So let's take a look at that. Right, so often such pages are scattered. Go to downloads then, right? Let's see if we have access over there. So we have Couchbase, right? And it shows enterprise. So we'll try to find the community edition Couchbase server, right? And it will show you the Windows version. And 7.1 is the current right now. So if you are seeing this in future, the version could be different, but the process should be same. Download this, simply agree to the terms, right? And here you get the download link. Depending on your internet connection, it may take few minutes. In my case, I'm on around 16 Mbps, right? So it will take just a minute, but we can watch that. Meanwhile, you can also copy the link and put it into your download manager, and you can download it in pieces. So that should also work, right? And once you have the setup downloaded, you can see that on your desktop, right? Now the thing is that this setup needs to be run as an administrator. If you don't run it that way, the install will fail. It will also throw in errors time and again, right? So right click, right, open with, let's say, show more options, and here I'll have to check the best option. In this case, we don't see the admin access. We can simply go to terminal, right? And then we can right click on terminal icon, run as admin, right? So it needs to be run that way. So run as admin. Then here, let's say if I try and drop this here, that won't work like the previous versions, right? So I will try to move this to, let's say, D drive, right? Once it is moved over there, I can simply navigate to D, right? And then we will try to find the name of our file. We will run it over there. Simply use dot then forward slash, right? So let's take a look at this file. Try and rename this and copy the file name. So I will use dot forward slash and then paste the name, right? And if I do that, it should start the installer. Because it is in admin mode right now, it should open the installer like this, right? So we can now minimize our terminal. Now that our setup is loaded, we can click on next, right? We accept the license agreement, click next. Here you can choose this path if you want, right? Alternatively, you can change this, make it some small path, that should also work. Then click next, right? Then click install. It should start the installation. So if you don't run this as an admin, then what happens is that this setup will go full and then roll back. So that's where they need admin access to write some file over the specific path on your Windows system, right? So let's wait for this to start. It will ask us for one more permission from the system. It will create a prompt that will show you that, right? Once you go through that approach, you can see the installer started. As you can see here, the file copying has started, and it will now finish with some of the updates on components and register. And once that is done, you are ready to click on finish the wizard. Now here you can see the setup is now completed. Now the thing is, you will have to access the Couchbase dashboard on localhost 8091. This should be universal for everyone who are running the Couchbase server. Right, so let's wait for this to happen. Now here we will be proceeding with creating a new cluster, right? So to go further, I will click on setup new cluster. This is community edition, so it should apply to all those who are using, right? So here let's name this cluster. Let's name this DevNami, create admin username, right? Then you can use the password of your choice, right? So it says 6 characters minimum, so we will check on that. Right, next we will accept the terms. We will accept terms and condition. We can also accept the software update usage information. You can uncheck this if you don't want to send that, right? Can then configure disk memory and services. Click on that. Here you can choose how much data to give. Also your host name or IP address, you can input that. Considering we are on desktop and localhost, I will keep the default. Here you can increase that. Currently 1 GB is assigned. Then indexing, search, query, all of that would get the necessary disk, right? So here you can see maximum quota data disk. You can change this to something else, right? So you can stick with this for now. Click on save and finish, right? Now here your Edge or maybe even Chrome would ask you to save password. I will click on never, right? By default your dashboard should look like this. This is the name of your cluster. In my case, I'm just putting my name here. Then you have dashboard as well that looks like this. Now we have to set up some data, and we will go with that part in next session. But once you set up the bucket with some sample data in settings, sample buckets, right? So settings, and here we will have to check sample buckets. Here we can choose all of the 3 or just one, right? Once we set that up, we will be able to have some sample data for our tests, right? Then we have option for server. Currently only one cluster is created, right? So there are remote clusters connect to, then outgoing application. These two we will look at the end. Then comes security part. Currently we are the only user, so you'll have to create more users for this to go, right? At the top you have option for adding additional users. Then you have logs. So every action you do on the server will be logged and will be accessible here. Then for your database, you have key spaces within which you can retrieve the documents and view it. You can also import that, right? Alternatively, you can check the workbench like this to retrieve it. You can run the query in this query editor, right? So like most of the databases, you have option to run the query, view the result, and you can view it in JSON format, table format, chart, then plain text, right? Then you have indexes, so you have something to view. Then you have option to search through those. Then finally you have option to check development views or production, but to do that you need some data. So you will be taking a look at adding some sample data and then taking a look at how to manipulate that data or how to access them, or even use our demo applications to do the create, read, update and delete operation with that data, right? So this was demonstration of how you can install Couchbase on Windows and how to configure your dashboard to set things up.